How's it going, guys? It's Friday. I am live and I am ready to talk about your DraftKings lineups right here on Twitch. I'm going to take questions, trying to set lineups, trying to help people go over their 2v2s, their 3v3s. I'm here sitting here with my chat. We're going to talk about everything that they want to talk about to help them prepare their cash game, their tournament lineups, strategy questions, bankroll management, anything that they want to talk about. I'm here to talk about every single Friday from 3 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern. I hope that you guys come and join me. If you are watching this on YouTube, I appreciate you finding the channel. I'd love to see you on the next video, whether it's an NFL or an NBA video. Make sure you click that subscribe button. Make sure you ring that notifications bell. And before you leave, if you wouldn't mind, please drop a like on this video. So let's get to the chat and see what they want to talk about. First of all, Bets Poker, thank you for the 100 bits, man. Pivot to Bears D, went from 180 to 150 points in cash. Yikes. Lost the past 2 weeks. Past week was rough. Last week should have been pretty good. Best Buys nailed it last week. For those of you who don't know, Best Buys is the article that I write that's on ESPN. If you want to find it any week, just Google Best Buys week, whatever the week of NFL it is, and that'll be the first result on the Google machine. Njoku or Howard, if you have the cash, I prefer to pay up for Njoku. If you need the extra 600, I like Howard as well. So it just depends on how much money you have left after building the rest of your lineup. They're both good to me. I prefer Njoku by a hair. Reynolds in GPP, yes, but I think he might get sacrificed. He's still going to run a ton of routes and be out there a lot. I don't expect him to get more than six or seven targets. So unless he breaks a long one, I kind of feel like his ceiling and floor are being a little bit exaggerated by people. He will get a volume of snaps. I just don't know if he's going to see a volume of targets as they're going to move Woods into the slot and play that cup role. Is DJ Moore cash game viable? Borderline, probably not for me. I like the matchup, but not really somebody that I think there's other guys that are in front of him. How am I feeling about Taylor Gabriel in cash? I mean, everybody seems to want to talk about cheap wide receivers. So what does that mean? Y'all are paying up for running back? Y'all are getting sharp. 4 wide receiver in cash week. No, not for me. Not really the thing that I do unless I have to. Don't normally love to play Landry on FD, but is he a cash play at 6,500 versus TB? 800 cheaper than on DK on FD? Yeah, I think he's more viable there for sure. OG Karate Kid, thank you very much for the 3 months row, getting
Goodwin
that silver
versus Snead this week.
Getting that VIP badge, that silver VIP badge in the chat. Goodwin versus Snead. I prefer Snead. He's cheaper. How do I think Pryor being out affects Curse's role? Curse's role is the slot. Pryor was outside. The most valuable cash game, target heavy spot in this Jets offense with Darnold at quarterback as a rookie so far has been whoever's manning the slot for 80% of the snaps. And right now that's going to be Curse. First 3.5 weeks of the season, it was Enunwa. Last week it was Curse. He got more catches than anybody else in the team got targets with 9 catches on 10 targets. So to me, that's what it was. Get in the listener league. No, I'm not a listener. I'm a host. The listener league is for listeners of the Daily Fantasy Edge. I'm in the host league. I don't want to. Here's why. And I'm not saying that I'm not being an elitist when I say that, right? I'm saying there's limited spots and it fills early every week. And I don't want to take up 1 to 3 of the spots from somebody else who might want to get in. There's no reason for me to be in that, right? Like you guys see my cash game lineup. It's in the 4-man every week. And I play 1 cash game lineup that's in basically all my head-to-heads. So it's easy to find the lineup that I use as soon as lineups lock. You don't need me in that tournament taking up a spot from somebody else. Now, if it was not going to fill on Sunday morning, I would 100% jump in there. Do I think that CJ will be the highest cash QB? No, because people will be scared of him. I think he might be at the higher stakes. At the lower stakes, definitely not.
Let's keep growing that bankroll.
I'm in, Eric. Let's do that. What did I miss from I Am Morris? Am I crazy for looking at Darnold or Osweiler for cash? I don't think it's necessary. If you're playing early only, I think it's all right. You don't listen back at what? At 2x speed? No, I don't. I listen at 1.5x. My brain can't process 2x on podcasts. Brandon MQ with 100 bits says, I am showing Lions fan bias, but I wanted to play Carry On in GPPs if Theo sits. No, I think he's a good GPP play. Bill Nelson, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. And if you guys don't know, you can sub to this channel absolutely free by clicking that subscribe button up on top of the screen. if you subscribe to Amazon Prime, and most of you do based on the demographic of people that watch me, you can subscribe. You have a token to subscribe absolutely free. If you don't, type !Prime in the chat. It'll give you a link to go link those 2 accounts. Gives you a free sub to use in this channel. Once you sub to this channel, you have access to the Discord. All those links are down below in the description. You can get here to Twitch from YouTube, subscribe to this channel, then get in the Discord where the subs only channels are there, and the discussion goes on basically, all day, every day for NBA and NFL. Is Latavius Murray cash game viable? Because Dalvin Cook was out this week. 5K, I like him. I don't love him. The Jets and against the Jets and on the road, I don't love him. And the Jets are already somebody you want to attack on the outside, and they're missing all of their cornerbacks this week. Kind of think that's what it is. S-Point, thank you for the 100 bits. Says LaShawn McCoy in cash, RB21 on FD. Yeah, LaShawn McCoy is definitely cash game viable this week. Sees a ton of usage in the pass game and should continuing to move forward. My issue is if they can't move the chains. That's going to be the issue for me with him. He's not one of my primary guys that I want to play in cash, but like I can give you a couple stats on him if you want. So like LaShawn McCoy, 45 touches over the past 2 weeks. That's compared to 29 touches over the first 3 games, so they're definitely prioritizing getting him the ball more. Twice this season, a running back has gotten 17 carries against Indianapolis. Both players, Sony Michel and Mixon, scored a touchdown and averaged over 5.4 yards per carry. So the Colts are a team that is forced teams to throw, but when teams commit to the run and give touches to their running back, the running backs have done very well against them. And they're allowing the 4th most completion to games per game to running backs, so Shady could have a really good floor this week, so I do like him. Jay Cuddleife, thank you for the 100 bits. Who do you like more as a cheap wide receiver in cash, Josh Reynolds or Traquan? Traquan has a higher upside. I think he's got more big playability. But Josh Reynolds isn't just like a plotting, possession receiver either. I just don't like the matchup with Richard Sherman. I think they might sacrifice him to that side. I think that he's going to get more targets than Traquan, though. So if you want the floor, go with Josh Reynolds. If you want to, go in GPP, I'd probably say Traquan. I prefer Josh Reynolds in cash, though. Beat Harden DK cash viable. Yeah, it's Beathard week everywhere. Rationalize this with yourself. You don't have to answer in the chat, but rationalize this yourselves right now, guys. How many points do you need out of Beathard for you to feel okay about yourself at the end of the week? Right? Like, this is a question. This is what I talk about all the time, right? You have to be able to have these things ready to go at the decision point, right? So, like, Beathard is super cheap, right? He's 4,800. He's playing one of the highest total games on the week. 18.9 points last week, right? Sorry, that was last week, right? He's averaged, let's see, in his last few games, 3 straight games with multiple touchdown passes and over 17.5 fantasy points. And the only quarterback this season that did not throw for multiple touchdowns against the Rams were Derek Carr, but he put up over 300 yards, and Sam Bradford. He's not a good quarterback. So, like, Beathard's going to have to throw the ball a ton. Teams, when they're behind by 7 or more points this year, are throwing it 74% of the time on average. I'm rounding up. So this is a spot where you're going to get a good amount of volume, probably 30 to 40 throws. Interceptions I don't care about. Against a defensive backfield, those cornerbacks for the Rams right now without Aqib Talib are not real good. So I don't see the problem here. Snead or Curse or the Surf and Turf, why not have both? I agree. I mean, y'all know what I want to do, right? Like, we talked about this on First Look. I want to plow in all the running back touches. I want 70 touches from my 2 running backs and my flex. So if you want to try and get there, you gotta pay. So if you're going to pay there, you got to pay down somewhere else. We're going to pay down at quarterback. We're going to look for value wide receivers where we can find them, guys that could get us 7+ targets at wide receiver in the 4K range. We've detailed already a couple of cheap running backs. I think that lineup construction is going to be very straightforward in cash this week, and people are going to be very similar. But with all this talk about Snead, Crabtree does not have a terrible matchup. He's not going to see 100% of Lattimore. And John Brown has been piling up air yards and now gets to run it up against a team that has not been able to stop anybody from throwing downfield. So, like Joe Flacco, if you can't pallet rostering Beathard in cash, you can easily go up 600 to go to Joe Flacco. Is this Kamara Ingram stack weak? I mean, last year it worked a bunch. Let's see if it works this week. I think it's viable for tournaments, not something I want in cash. You want to see running backs from 4,500 to 5,000? Take a look. So Tariq Cohen 5,100 I think is interesting, but not somebody I want to play in cash because I don't foresee him getting more than 12 touches in this game. Alex Collins, interesting. I was very intrigued and very positively. I was pleased with the way that they were using him last week, even though the results on a yard per carry basis were not there. He did get 2 touchdowns. He makes a lot more guys miss than Buck Allen. He's just not utilizing the passing game as much as Buck Allen is, which kind of limits his ceiling and really hinders his floor. I think Carlos Hyde is probably my favorite one in this range. Latavius Murray, obviously with Cook out, sees a big bump last week, 24 touches and a catch. Peterson's hurt. Alf Morris, no. Kerryon Johnson in tournaments for me, I'm fine with. Not really a cash game play. Buck Allen, same thing. Like him in tournaments, don't love him in cash. And that's basically kind of it. For against Gurley, Zeke, and CMC and all the value wide receivers. That's a route. You could do that. Okay, so it's 7,700. You're talking about putting in McCaffrey at 7,700. So let's just look at this a little bit deeper, right? So we got McCaffrey at 7,700. In that range, even a little bit cheaper. Okay, so we've got Evans in that range. We have Cooks. We have Woods. We even have Landry in that range, right? Who people love a lot against Tampa Bay, who can't really stop anybody. McCaffrey getting a lot of looks on the ground. I think that he's going to see way less touches on the ground this week. I think he's more of a receiver now against Philly with the way that their defense runs. You know, they make you go outside rather than in. They force you to throw the ball, and their defensive backs are trouble. I think that everything's going to go outside this week. I think with Olsen back, McCaffrey sees a bit of a drop, maybe a 20% drop in his target expectation. I think that the Rams wide receivers right here, 7,100 and 7,000. I prefer Woods personally because he's taking over that cup role. Cooks has been very steady and has not had a massive breakout game yet. People are going to point to this one, but that's not a massive breakout game. That's just a really good game. Massive breakout game to me is 35 plus. He has that in his locker, especially if he can catch a 60-yarder. I think that Woods is the play in there. If you want to go different with Thomas or Landry or Diggs, I'm fine with that. And I think I prefer all of them over McCaffrey if I was going to spend up. I'll find another value running back that can get me 20 touches. Cockroach 24 with a tier 1 sub. Thank you very much, sir. Is Beathard a GP player or cash game? He's both. I think if I think somebody is cash game viable, 99.9% of the time they're also somebody that I'm going to want to have in tournaments. Because I'm looking for cash game plays that have upside. Right? Cash game to me means high floor. It doesn't necessarily mean they don't have a high ceiling. It just means that they have a high floor. What is everybody oh my godding? What just happened? Wait, what? The Browns traded Hyde to Jacksonville. This is fine. Shefty just came in with a Shefty bomb. Okay, so this is happening live, guys. So for anybody that does not realize that this is something that just happened, because I know that a lot of people watch this on YouTube, right? There's the tweet. 12:23 p.m. I mean, it is 12:24 right now, my time. This happened 1 minute ago. So Carlos Hyde to Jacksonville. Don't think he'll be ready to play there this week. Ah! I broke my screen. Definitely don't think he's going to be ready to play there this week. But that changes a few things. So let's go look at this. I guess the Browns are ready with Chubb then, huh? How much is the Chubster? We might have to start the show on Sunday with some Chubb Rock. 1990 Chubb Rock jumps upon the scene. Hold, please, YouTube. Hold, please. He's 3,600. Just drink it in, guys. He's going to be 1,000,000% owned. Nick Chubb. Your X Factor came in on Friday. Jesus Christ. Well, that's the show, guys. Thank you for being here. That's all you need to know. Just play Chubb and the entire slate opens itself up. Easy game this week. Thank you for being here. Please click that like button. Lineup finished. Exactly. You can have literally all the dudes now. You can have everybody in the lineup. You don't even have to try real hard. It's just stupid. All right. Shout out to Mackie Supa, who would say this slate is effed at this point. Just play the dudes now. It's a play the dudes slate. And Duke will go off instead. Duke's role was... I don't think Duke's role changes. I mean, maybe it does. It's possible. Right? But Duke's not a guy that you can pound. You can't give him the rock 15, 17 times. Duke's role is pretty established on this team. Chubb looked like lightning in a bottle. Duke's not going to carry it more than 7 or 8 times. Colts Beathard or Saints Cam? Colts Beathard. Duke has 21 carries in 6 games. Exactly. 15 carry floor for Chubb. That's gross, Kuz. That's uncalled for, sir. L3 Gia Navris, or Gia Navrivs. Thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub, dude. I missed that with all the craziness. Bucks without Gerald McCoy, too. Yeah, it's Chubb week, y'all. Someone just picked him up in your fantasy league. Clever girl. So, Gurley, Zeke, Chubb, and cash games. Yep, pretty much. I mean, I get it if people don't want to play... if people don't want to play Zeke, like, well, against Washington, Washington's team is in disarray right now. And the question is, who else are you going to play? Like, you're just going to go with another cheap running back that could get you 20 touches? Best wide receiver, 4,100 under? Curse for me. Always with a Jurassic Park reference. S-Point with 100 bits, but now we can't play McCoy on the road with Derek Anderson at QB in a 17-game total. Damn. Exactly. I mean, it's kind of silly at this point. This week is going to be fun. The question becomes tournament allocations, right? How much Chubb do you think the tournament is going to, tournament fields are going to have, chat? You know, now this becomes a game theory show. What % is Chubb going to be owned? Is he going to be owned 30%? Is he going to be owned 35%? He will not be 6% in the Millionaire Maker. Not at all. There's no chance. 40% plus in the Millie Easy? No. Can't wait to pay 2,500 bits on Sunday to ask how much Chubb Al has. Exactly. Look, I'm going to guesstimate right now 30 to 40%. I'm going to guesstimate like super heavily owned in the Millie Maker at 30 to 40%. Smaller the field, the more that percentage is going to go up. Cash games, he might be 90 to 95% owned. You think some people will be on Duke? Yeah, in tournaments for sure. That's why I think it's going to be like 30 to 40, but like 80 to 95 in cash. Is Josh Gordon too thin for cash? No. I think he's on the cusp. I'd much rather overweight in tournaments than rely on him in cash, though. I can go stars and scrubs in cash and be totally happy with everything. It's rare that people are over 40% in the millie. It's that rare. Hey, Al, guess what?
Hey, Al, guess what? I have a Chubby for Chubb.
Good God.
It's also more like my 1-year anniversary.
Well, congratulations on the 3 months, even though we had a little break. We were on a break! What does that say about Fournette? He might be more hurt than they're letting on. Or maybe he hasn't been hurt and this is all disciplinary and they don't want to deal with him because he was suspended a couple times last year for disciplinary reasons and maybe they're just through with him. How is everything? Everything's fine. Nothing really happened today. Nothing blew up. Nothing exploded except for this entire slate. That's all. Thoughts on Chester? I need like a nuclear bomb scene. Just like, what's going on, Al? Oh, nothing. Just like a mushroom cloud behind me. JJ Dog, thank you for the Twitch Prime. Between Chubb Talk and hashtag Make It Bigger trending on Twitter, this is one wacky game show. It is, man. See, when you wrote Fournette, I read Fortnite. So I had to like take a couple of looks at that. Riddick ruled out. Yeah, we're getting a lot of news on Friday. I like this. Do you know you can study player lineups in the different game selections? I don't know what that means. Expand. I'd love to answer the question. Just expand a little bit more while I get to this other one. Favorite defense under 2,800 or 2,800 and down? The Eagles at 2,600 to me obviously stand out a little bit. The Texans going, even though on the road going up against Bortles can always lead to a pick six. Dallas against Washington with literally everybody on their team either out or questionable. It's a very dinged up, hurt offense. Might not be able to move the ball well and forced to throw in ways that Alex Smith doesn't like to throw. For tournaments, I like the Bears, not for cash. Upside with their sacks, you can always turn stuff and go in the other direction. Don't really like the Ravens against Baltimore. Bills against Indy is interesting at 2,300 for tournaments as well. BTM 18, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Brandon MQ with 100 bits. Thank you very much for the continued support, Brandon. Gurley, Zeke, Thielen, Chubb, and cash for all the monies. That seems to be the first look that I'm getting after this. LA Party, build it and we will come. I'm working on it. We're like looking at sites. We're trying to figure out what would work. It has to be after football season, either during the playoffs or like maybe like an NBA like skills night thing, like with the dunk competition, like rent out a bar and charge X amount, like only just to cover the fees, not like to make money on it, but I might do something like that down the road. You're not fading Woods in cash. Well, then okay, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Woods in cash is fine. He was fine, and he is fine, and I definitely thought that he was in play, but I thought that he was in play when we had the cheapest running back that we had was 4,700 in Carlos Hyde that allowed us to get up to Woods, right? So, like, Hyde was in the flex, right, which allowed, because we had Team Jam-A-Min up here, and then we couldn't afford to get up to where we wanted to get up to. Well, now he becomes him, which kind of might allow us to get here, which has you mean I get to put this dude who has not seen less than 10 targets in any one game this year in my cash game lineup now? So yes, Woods is definitely cash game viable and was probably going to be the most owned 7K and above wide receiver in cash. And now this happened here, which is allowing this to happen here. And now it's just whatever. Play the dudes. Who should I play this week? Play the best players, because you can. You can't do that every week. And when you get the opportunity to play the best players, just play them. You're going to need 250 to cash this week. If the chalk goes off, definitely. Colts D cash viable? Yeah. Would Chubb's and is Njoku too much Browns for cash? No, because look at the team total and look at their prices. You're paying very little amount of salary to get exposure to heavy touch and target guys in a very explosive offensive environment. 200 bits from Slim Cardi says, appreciate all the insights, Al. Will you change your bankroll allocation for cash this week since the slate just got stupid, or you play your typical allocation? I mean, the slates got stupid. At the stakes that I play, everybody's going to have the same lineup. We're going to be playing 1v1s and 2v2s, if not having exactly the same lineup. So I'm definitely not going to put more in cash. You can leverage things more in tournaments on a week like this because, again, it's football and anybody can fail. They can turn an ankle, they can get concussed, and then one play is out. That's going to be very highly owned, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40% owned in tournaments, which is going to knock out a huge percentage of the field if things kind of go sideways, which makes it a really good tournament week. So I'm going to be playing my normal cash game allocation, but then I'm going to be paying very, very, very close attention to all of my tournament allocations and make sure that I have enough of the chalk, but and whether it's overweighting the field or whether I'm going to fade somebody here or there in tournaments and have leverage spots built out in case the chalk stuff doesn't work out. Single entry tournaments, you can definitely take a standard. 3-max tournaments are my favorite to do that with because people throw their cash games lineups in there, myself included, which keeps the percentages high on specific players. That allows you to build a leagues lineup and a tournament lineup to get off of, and get off of the high ownership and take some shots at coming in near the top of the field. McCoy, Vinny Curry were just ruled out for Tampa Bay. There's your icing. Yeah, and I saw that before. McCoy was ruled out before the Hyde news, before the Chubb news. So, it is what it is. Hyde for a 5th round pick? Yeah, that's about right. You felt when they signed him and then drafted Chubb that one of them was going to go and it wasn't going to be the younger one, the younger guy on the rookie contract. Assuming Hyde is now out, I don't think it's possible that he's going to be able to grasp that entire playbook by Sunday. But we'll see if he plays and if he does, how much. What do I think about the Browns' backfield now? I think it's Chubb, and I think Duke Johnson I think that Chubb gets the biggest bump, and Duke Johnson plays the Duke Johnson role. Taylor Gabriel, what about him? He's doing well. I like him. 4,700. He's one of those wide receivers in play at the 4,000 to 5,000 range. Smallwood or Clement, I think they're 50-50, to be honest with you. Bills do a good tournament play. Yes, they're very aggressive, have turnover upside. They're not going to move the ball very quickly, so they shouldn't give up a ton of points. Big sack upside. I've played them a couple of times this year because they're just super duper cheap. Gabriel or Curse? I prefer Curse for floor. He's also 600 cheaper than Gabriel. Gabriel has a higher ceiling but a lower floor. You got Chubb in season long thanks to you just beat everybody in your league to the waiver wire and picked him up. GG. Let's get a GG in the chat for Huckleberry. Luck likes to throw picks. I don't know if he likes it, but he does it like it's his job sometimes. Want to see lineup for Thunderdome after week 7? You want to you can always just check out the Thunderdome. As soon as the tournament locks, you can just download the CSV. It's not difficult to do. Michael Thomas seems interesting. He is. I like him for tournaments. I don't know if I want to pay up for him in cash. If I'm going to pay up for him, I'm going to go get Thielen. I don't know if there's that many questions, to be honest, now that everything else happened. How many questions could you guys possibly have on this slate? Thoughts on Chester Rogers this week? I think he's okay, but not as good as when TY is out. How much Chubb do I have in best ball? Some, but not a ton. E. Lindy, thank you very much for the 2.
Thielen.
Thielen. I'm shocked that Mubot didn't read out every one of those ends like it did football. Trubisky cash game viable? Probably not for me. Yeah, more tournament questions. It's just that just kind of it is what it is. It's what I said as soon as I saw the trade. I was like, all right, GG. That's it for the show. Landry or Cooks? Give me Landry. I prefer Cooks for tournaments, Landry for cash. And I don't always just say that. Big question of the week is Howard or Njoku. I think that Njoku is the better play. But he's also 600 more. So if I have my perfect lineup that I love everywhere else and I have 4,000 remaining at tight end, I'm not going to scrap the whole lineup to get up to Njoku. I'll just play Howard, but I would prefer to just play Njoku at 4,200. So can you play Chubb at 3,600? Yep. Season-long Martin or Richard to replace Lynch. I wish I knew. I can't tell what bad teams do. There's a reason bad teams stay bad. It's because they don't do things that are sensible. You know? Like the Cardinals. I see that Cardinals from Dave Duncan in the chat. Like, not using Dave Johnson the right way and getting yourself fired because you can't be imaginative at all. Cash game's going to be decided by defense this week. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of 2v2s. Probably. If you wanted to fade cash games this week and just focus on tournaments, I wouldn't hate it. You know, if that's the route you want to go. Because everybody's going to have the same 3 running backs. Which is going to lead people to very, very similar wide receivers. Which is going to also force people onto the similar quarterbacks. You know, so you're going to be playing a lot of 1v1s and 2v2s. Fire Extinguisher says, you got a great channel. Glad I found you on YouTube. Cashed several times in NFL NBA since following you. Hey, man, congrats. Appreciate you finding your way over here from YouTube. You, too, can find your way over to my Twitch channel from YouTube. The link is right down there in the description. Hit show more. Click the link. Then click subscribe. I'd love to meet you. If Byron wants to keep an OC job, he will get DJ the ball outside the tackles. Did you guys see that thing last night that Coe tweeted out, and I retweeted it during the game? James Coe tweeted it out. I'll find the tweet. Give me 2 seconds. And I know that this is not like a lineup buildery sort of thing, right? But like, looking at like the next gen stats, he blended all David Johnson's next gen run charts together, like every one of them from the whole year. It looks like this. This is where David Johnson was given the ball all year. In between the hashes, just just run into a 9-man front all night. 2 yards of carry. This is what Melvin Gordon's look like. This right here is offensive malpractice. That's gross. If that's okay if you have Eric Rhett. That's okay if you have LeGarrette Blount. That's okay if you just have a guy just pound into the line for 3 yards of carry. David Johnson is not that dude. I mean, I've gone off on it like 4 times so far this year on the stream. It's gross. It's uncalled for. And he's just out there doing what he does, man. He hasn't said a word. But homie got fired for that. You should have been fired for that. That was ridiculous. E. Lindy, thank you very much for the 2. Oh, that was a while ago. Still thank you for the 2, though. Beathard and Zeke or Flacco and McCaffrey and DK Cash. I prefer Beathard and Zeke. Arian's such a good coach. They're making him look like Bill Walsh. Yeah. Lord Byron will fix DFJ. I hope so, man. Chubb Thielen's legit fits perfectly as a 2v2 off Woods. I know. We're all going to have the same lineup. Guys, don't pick up my head-to-heads this week. Seriously. Like, I get a lot of head-to-heads against, like, guys that I know are, you know, I recognize the names every once in a while when I scroll through to see, you know, what my record is at the end of the week. And I know that, like, we like to play against each other. It's fun, like the $5 head-to-heads. Just don't pick up my head-to-heads this week, because all we're going to do is just, we're going to lose money to the rake because we're all playing the same guys. When have you ever heard me say that? Like, this is a very, very, very straightforward slate. Like, it might just be a 1v1 with our defense. Or the wide receiver 2. Like, okay, look. I don't think everybody's going to have Beathard. Okay? I don't think everyone's going to have Beathard. I think everybody is going to have him. I think most people will have him. Some will have Woods. I think everybody's going to have him. So at best, your lineups are going to be a 4v4. Right? At best, there's 4 slots that you might have differentiated. Realistically, we might all have the same other guy. This here. It's going to be a 2v2, at most a 3v3 week in cash. These are not, like, the margins are going to be very, very slim this week. DK works for me right now. Granted, I'm on one page and not clicking around. Thielen, Harris, or Woods, Boyd in 0.5 PPR. Give me Woods, Boyd. I don't trust Harris, even though I had him in cash last week. Now, if you made Harris Woods, I think, or Reynolds, I'd probably be happier about that. When I put my cash game lineup in the 4-man per usual, yep, might be a strategery week. I don't try to win the 4-man. I look at the 4-man, like, I'm not game theorying the 4-man. I'm just going to put my cash game lineup in there because that's the bulk of the analysis that I give is based around a cash game, how to build a cash game lineup optimally. And then, we talk about game theory and things like that you can look at over multiple lineups and stuff like that. But, like, typically I'll just put my cash game lineup in there. I'm not trying to game theory these guys. Hope the chalk burns. I mean, I never do because I play the chalk. It's worked for me for 6 years. Not stopping now. With the Chubb news, thoughts on getting to Goff? You can. If that's where you want to pay up. If you're happy staying with Woods and you say, okay, I want to really just stack him with Goff, that's fine. But quarterbacks don't really matter. Also, I've been here way longer than 2 months. Yeah, but you must have missed a sub somewhere. Like, it only counts as long as you're subbed concurrently. Come to Smith's stream and learn you shouldn't play cash. No, I said don't play against me today. Play against me every other week. We're just... Because, like, it's going to be endless. I'm going to have to send 50 emails to support. Hey, have the same lineup in this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Please refund all our money. If you have the same lineup as somebody else, you're essentially just paying the rake unless you email support. Miss some months outside of football season? Yep, that's what most people do. Everybody subs for football season, and a lot of people just go away, and then they come back in August and September. Any GPP interest in Hyde or not yet? Don't know how much he's going to play. Like, that would be my issue. And if he plays, how much are they really going to get him out on the field for right now in 2 days? Right? He's got to get there tomorrow and gather the playbook. Like, they might put him in situationally. Like, short yardage plays, I can see them putting them in for immediately. Just take the ball and run. But I can't see him getting more than, like, 8 touches. Gabriel versus Goodwin. Give me Goodwin and then Gabriel. Snead, Cam, Crabtree, Beathard. So a 3-way 2v2. Snead and Cam versus Crabtree and Beathard versus Goff and Harris. The first one, Snead and Cam. Love Jags D this week? Same. I think they're solid. They're just very expensive. Am I off McCoy entirely? No. I like McCoy. I'll have him in tournaments, but, like, I don't think he's a need for cash. Him over Zeke could differentiate for GPPs. I totally agree. And I talk about that. Like, I build my 3 lineups, right? And so the first lineup I build is obviously my cash game lineup that I think is the most optimal build for that week, getting 70 touches out of my running backs and flex, getting 30 targets from my 3 wide receivers, getting a tight end that's got high usage in the red zone and possible upside, 5 for 50 and a touchdown, a quarterback that's cheap enough to get me 3-4x his salary, a defense that's got good pressure on the quarterback, all those sorts of things. Then I build a leagues lineup where I take that lineup and either optimize it by going with a double pass catcher thing, maybe somebody coming back the other way, differentiate it 2v2 or 3v3 off my cash game lineup, probably taking out one of the higher owned players in the lineup to differentiate it for tournaments. And then I build a full-on tournament lineup. And the easiest way I can explain somebody to build an all-tournament lineup, take the players at each position that your DFS site or whatever your projections say are the best point per dollar plays. Take the top 3 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, all of them, cross them off the list and don't use them, and build a lineup with the rest of the players, the best players that are left on your list. You'll still get players that have a good points per dollar projection. You'll still get players that are in really good matchups, probably at home, favored running backs that are going to get 20 plus touches, all those sorts of things. You're just going to have, instead of a 30% owned running back, you're going to have a 9% owned running back or a 12% owned running back. So that's how you go. That's how the old school way to build a solid tournament lineup would be. Obviously, look for correlation, running back, defense, quarterback, pass catcher, bring somebody back on the other side, yada, yada, yada. Do I think that Gurley or Chubb will be higher owned? Gurley. Nah, I don't know. I think that they're going to be owned together. Like, I think it's going to be a couple percent either way. Everybody knows that they got to play Gurley, and now they know that getting Chubb with Gurley is the easy way to get both of them in there. So it's like, I think that they're just a pair. Thick as thieves this week. I think that Elliott will be the lower owned, way lower owned than those two. I think those are the 2 highest owned players on the slate, along with probably Thielen. Pivot from CJ Zeke to Cam, CMC, and Cash. Nope. Not for me. That's more of a leagues lineup or a tournament lineup for me. Try not to overthink it sometimes. You know, guys, like, I'm not saying that specifically to Mr. Educational. I'm just saying, everybody, you don't need to do that. Now, if you're saying, I want to try and take a shot at winning, like, you might do that. You know what? Putting a leagues lineup in triple ups this week is probably not a bad idea. Or 3-man games, knowing that everybody's going to be really on the same guys. And if you just differentiate a little bit and get off the chalk a little bit, that might push you all the way to the top of all those multipliers, 3-mans, 3x, 5x, triple ups, quintuple ups. That might be a route to go this week on a week like this where everybody's going to be 2v2. People are on Chubb. Why? Because Hyde got traded. Shefty bomb. Carlos Hyde went from Cleveland to Jacksonville, opening up a ton of snaps and carries for Chubb. Cohen at 5,100 for GPP? Certainly. Definitely on board with that. DK is broken. They'll get it back up. Kind of wish this Chubb news broke a little later. I don't. I'm glad it broke right now. Because otherwise it would have been like, you said play Hyde and Hyde got traded. Should we play Chubb? Like, all my YouTube comments would be a mess. Yeah, I'm talking to you, YouTube comments. You'd have been a mess. Now you won't. Yeldon isn't out. Exactly. Chubb broke DK. No, he didn't break. I mean, it was already super simple. Like, after we got off the air with the Edge, I rattled off a lineup to those guys that was very similar to kind of what we talked about here. I'm like, look, cash is easy this week. Bing, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. Play these 2 running backs. Get this guy. Carlos Hyde is in there. Boom, 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 boom. Done. Now it's the same boom, 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 boom. Done. And now I have $900 more to spend. I understand the chalk theory mentality for the contrarian player. Would they completely avoid Chubb or just a much smaller allocation? You can differentiate by not fading the highest owned guy on the slate. Oh, the news physically broke the site. Yeah, everybody raced who had put in lineups to get him out or to just see how much he was. I now have 3 Browns in cash. This is fine. That's probably not a great idea. Going to consider Ertz now for cash with the newfound money. That's not a terrible take. I mean, I think he's still a little too expensive. It's $7,100. You know, like, it's not like I went from CMC down to Chubb. I'm talking about going, like, Hyde was a core play for me this week. And so now Chubb just takes over Hyde's spot as a core play, and he's $900 cheaper. So I have $900 more to spend. The guys that we were talking about considering is guys like Njoku, guys like Howard. So that would bring us maybe up to Kittle, right? Where are we going to find that extra $2K to get up here? I think that Kittle is now in play. Like if you want to keep your same lineup, go down from Hyde to Chubb and then go up from like Njoku to Kittle, I think that's in play. But I don't know where we're getting that extra 2K to get all the way up to Ertz in cash. I know it's scary, but paying up a wide receiver and down at running back will be extremely contrarian. I'm right there with you. Look, it's the same in NBA, right? Like this is from game theory. Roster construction based on the way the values and salaries are set for a day or a week of NFL or a day of NBA or MLB, people gravitate to spending and saving in certain positions, right? The way that a typical build has been this year on DraftKings is spend up on running back, spend a couple 2 to 3 4K wide receivers, go cheap at tight end. So the way to differentiate is very easy. Pay up at tight end or pay up at wide receiver and find 2 mid-range running backs that you can go with instead of paying up for the superstar running backs. The problem has been that the superstar running backs have been completely going bonkers. Todd Gurley, every single week, posts 30 fantasy points. Alvin Kamara, for the first 4 weeks of the season, every single week, posted 40, 37, 17, 46 fantasy points. Ezekiel Elliott every single week. Saquon Barkley every single week. The top of the food chain has been eaten. And as a result, what's the point of fading that? What's the minimum to win in cash games this week? Depends on if the chalk goes off. Everybody's going to be on the same guys. So if those guys go off, it's obviously going to be a sky-high week in double-ups and cash games. Do I like Tate or Galladay in GPPs? I prefer Galladay. You're going McCoy. I prefer Galladay, but I guess so does everybody else. So, like, if you want to try and leverage, get off the Galladay ownership, you can go to Tate. E-House, thank you for the 4 months. So I think Rhodes would actually shadow Robbie Anderson. I don't know that anybody is shadowable in that offense. I don't know that you need to take one guy away in that offense. He may. Going McCoy versus Indy, and I think it's a Pavlov dog issue with the snow game last year. It might be. It might be. Reynolds ownership lowering cash now, given Chubb value unlocked. Yeah, could be. I don't think it was going to be like 40%, though. Sorry, that's tournament. I don't think he was going to be like a 60% owned guy. I don't think you needed him, to get where you were going. I think he would have been owned, but not like an 80%er. He wouldn't have had Gurley ownership. NBA or NHL for my whole bankroll tonight to double it up for NFL. Easy, Romeo. Cohen Woods or Elliott Curse? Elliott Curse for me. Cohen Woods for GPP. Cohen is a GPP only play for me. Any thoughts on sub 5? He only gets like 50% of the snaps, guys, and he's not going to touch it more than 15 times. Probably no more than 12. He does have big play. If he scores a 60-yard touchdown, then hey, we're partying. Pants are off. But like, realistically speaking, are you going to get a 60-yard touchdown every week from a guy that doesn't get more than 12 touches? Any thoughts on sub 5K receivers? We already talked about that. There's a bunch of them. I went through some of my favorite ones in Best Buys. Go check that out on ESPN. It's a plus article. Flacco or Beathard in cash? I think both are fine. I think Beathard allows you to just basically play all the dudes. So I think a lot of people are going to go with Beathard. And people don't like playing Flacco for obvious reasons. What Murray? Latavius? Probably not. In tournaments, yes. See, and there's the other thing. People think, oh, well, you just say yes to everybody in tournaments, and I really don't. I play a very small allocation of players at running back and wide receiver versus what a lot of other people who play 150 lineups do. So, like, he's somebody who would be in consideration for my tournament allocation. It's on 12 and 15 game slates, I don't play more than like 10 or 12 running backs. So on a 10 game slate, I'm probably not going to play, more than 10, if that many. This fly is really bothering me. Get out. We talked about the chance of Curse not being in the slot yet. Nope. What do you think? Who's going to play it? They basically said he's the slot guy, unless something else broke. This fly is a death wish. I'm going to kill it. It just doesn't know it. Why did I choose not to have Baker in Best Buys when he's facing Tampa? Was curious. I have a word cap. I can't write about everybody. I'm only allowed 2,000 words, and I went over. I had like 2,100 this week. It's like every time people want to know, well, how come you didn't write up this guy? It's like, because, guys, they don't let me write up everybody. Like, week 1, my article was like 3,200 words, and they're like, oh, you have a word cap. It's 2,000 words. I'm like, oh, all right. So the tough question becomes Thielen, Woods versus Woods, Kittle. Yeah, kind of. That would be a good 2v2. That could define your week in cash. Not playing Woods in cash, and I'm scared. Thielen has so much equity. I agree. Who would I add on to Best Buy that didn't fit? We talk about that on Sunday morning. I don't know yet. A lot of that depends on injury reports from Friday when all that stuff's done. Obviously, it would be Chubb over Hyde at this point. And then when we get to X factors with inactives, like I always give you guys a couple of X factors on Sunday morning on the Anti-Tinkercast. For those of you on YouTube, that's on Twitch. Again, link down below. Every Sunday morning, last 45 minutes right before lock, I'm live on Twitch. Chat is always locked to subs only, so come on in, subscribe to the channel, be a part of the Anti-Tinkercast this Sunday. Woods, Ertz, or Thielen, Howard? Thielen, Howard for me. People in another group I'm in are talking Gore over Chubb. Pray for them. Can I get some amens in the chat? Powell might be in play by Sunday. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that could be, and I don't want to talk about them on Friday. Not because I'm hiding something. Like, I'm not. My track record shows that I'm definitely not trying to hide anything. It's just I don't want to put something out there, and then people say, well, you said you'd play this guy. Okay, I don't know. If you got a guy like that, set up some if-then statements. If this player's out, think about it from Washington's point of view, right? Crowder's out. Think about who the other guys are. Thompson's out. If Peterson is out, then we play this guy. This guy becomes viable. If this other wide receiver is out, then wide receiver Y becomes playable. Set up your if-then statements and be ready for them to know where you think things are going to go and how your projections will change if somebody gets listed on the inactive report or if they're going to go or not go. But, I mean, realistically speaking, guys, I think we covered every single bit of it. So thank y'all for being here. I appreciate y'all sticking around. The growth on YouTube has been tremendous, and that's all thanks to you guys. So appreciate you being here. Make sure you click that like button. Subscribe. Notifications. Subscribe's right there. Here's another video for you to look at. And I'll hopefully see you guys on Sunday morning for the Anti-Tinkercast on Twitch. Bye.